One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, 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 oh.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, glory, 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 oh, glory, glory. Now the war is not over, victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish, and then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh.
Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. No one can win a war individually. It take the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, glory,
Welcome to Maintain Monday. Happy Martin Luther King Day, MLK Day. But I want to welcome you. What a wonderful, wonderful song to come in on. And you know, there was a couple of things in the lyrics of that song. And one of them, it says, no one can win the war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elder and the young people's energy. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about, even though the show is about, I have a dream and I need a dream team. It's talking about how essential, how important it is to have the right people around you, especially when you are building or you're part of a movement, you have a God-given assignment. It's important, it's essential to have the right people around you. And there's scripture references to this. Again, I have a dream and I need a dream team, right? There's scriptures that reference this. And if we were to look at actually Exodus 35, verses 10 and verses 20 through 35, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but Moses called for the gifted craftsmen. And he constructed everything that the Lord has commanded. So, and then when we get down, and that's in verse 10, when we get down to verses 20 to 35, it talks about they brought all the materials needed for the tabernacle, for the performance, and both men and women came, all whose hearts are willing. So that's another key point to those that are on your team and who you are recruiting. Are they willing? They brought offerings. They of course they had blue, purple, scarlets, linen. The women, it talks about the skill, because we're talking about the skill. And we'll be talking more about that with our guest, and I'll introduce her to you shortly. But the women were skilled in sewing and spinning. They had different types of stones. And again, the willing used their skills. They used their skills. And Moses told the people, and these people were specifically chosen, and they were filled with the Spirit of God. They had great wisdom, ability, and expertise in all kinds of crafts. So God was into calling the skilled and the qualified and the willing in order to build his tabernacle. So surely as we are building those things that God has called us to do, we too need to, fashion ourselves or model ourselves out of that. And then when we look at Exodus 36 verses 1 through 2, it says, again, the skilled craftsman with wisdom and ability to perform any task involved in building the sanctuary. Let them construct and furnish the tabernacle just as the Lord had commanded. And again, it talks about Moses, Bezalel, Obeled, and others who had specific gifts, God, and were eager. We got to keep saying that they were eager to do the work. And there were materials that were donated in order to build. And the people kept bringing additional, to the point where it's like they said, bring no more. We have enough. And again, the people were eager, they were skilled, and they were willing to do and build to do the work that God had called them to do. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the skilled and how they're willing, how they had gifts, and how important is that in order to build what God has called you to build. Having the right people, and I'm going to say it again, having the right people around you while you are building is essential. I'm going to say it's a mandate. And today, again, we are honoring Dr. King. And we also want you to take a look at this video, because this gives you a little bit more information about Dr. King. Some people may not know a lot about him, but let's take a look at this video, because we do want to honor him as the leader, his resilience in order for a cause to that we are able to do the things that we are doing today because of him. So let's look at this video in honor of Dr. King.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. Faith was always an important part of daily life, as both his father and grandfather were Baptist ministers. He thrived at a segregated high school, graduating at 15, before heading off to Morehouse College. He then dedicated 3 years to theological study at Crozier Seminary in Pennsylvania. While earning his graduate degree at Boston University, he met Coretta Scott, who he would marry and have 4 children with. King and his family settled in Montgomery, Alabama, when he became the 20th pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. When Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to relinquish her seat to a white man on a Montgomery City bus in 1955, the incident lit a fire under the burgeoning civil rights movement.
His boycott of the bus system in Montgomery, Alabama was tremendously successful, because he was incredibly strategic, and he worked with other people to get the individuals in Montgomery, Alabama to understand that they weren't going to take it anymore.
King's experience, passion for the cause, and position in the community gave him the credentials to become a leader in the 381-day boycott of the city buses. On December 20th, 1956, the Supreme Court ruled segregated buses to be unconstitutional. This was a major victory for the civil rights cause and proved King's nonviolent methods of protest could yield results. King was now the national face of the civil rights cause. He was jailed over 20 times, was once stabbed in the chest, his house was bombed, and he suffered relentless personal attacks on himself and his family. For a man of peaceful intentions, he unfortunately spent much of his life the target of violent intent, yet the threats never stopped him.
Dr. King inspired thousands of people through his eloquence and through his fearlessness, especially after his home was firebombed with his wife and his children. They showed through their courage that they were prepared to give their lives to the cause of freedom.
King worked tirelessly to promote the cause he so strongly believed in. And from 1957 through 1968, he traveled over 6 million miles, delivered 2,500 speeches, wrote 5 books, and dozens of articles. His hard work and ability to communicate earned him such respect that he earned the ear of President John F. Kennedy, who personally met with King. Of all the speeches King delivered, none has stood the test of time like his famous I Have a Dream speech. Symbolically delivered from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963, in front of 250,000 people, both black and white. King had become such a force in America that he was named Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1963. A nice achievement indeed, but it paled in comparison when in 1964 he became the youngest man ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Martin Luther King Jr. was an American. He was deeply American. And what's striking to me is that he had more confidence and faith in American democracy, in the Constitution, and in the principles of fairness and opportunity than nearly all of his critics.
While in Memphis to lead a protest march defending the rights of striking garbage workers in April of 1968, King delivered a rousing speech titled, "I've Been to the Mountaintop." It would be his last. Standing on the balcony of his second-floor room at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, King was shot and killed. In 1983, Ronald Reagan signed a proclamation declaring the third Monday of every January Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a public holiday to celebrate the man and what he stood for.
Welcome back. What an incredible bio on Dr. King. And I want to also bring my guest on so she can join in on the conversation, just some highlighted points, because I think it's key, some of the points in the determination with Dr. King as we're building. I want to introduce Cherie. She is the human resource. If she spells as RIE source, HR recruiting specialist in charge of seeking out quality candidates in medical management and other professions. She has a dual master's in business administration and the other in human resource. Helping others is her passion. She worked all over the United States and she's looking to submit applications. So we want to bring her on the screen. Hi, how are you? Cherie, you're muted.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Did I leave anything out of your bio or introduction that you want to share?
Sure. I'll just share more of what I do. So basically, medical management is usually working with that's like my specialty, basically medical management, like RNs, case managers, social workers, clinical pharmacists. I work all across the world, all across the United States, I'll say right now, with different companies, just enforcing the benefits of resume building, professional resumes, enhancing your resumes, doing things of that nature. But I also work for entrepreneurs such as Cassandra, and helping them find quality candidates for their team, because it is very important to build your team around faith, prosperity. You want to have this. You want to have people that have discernment. You want to have people that are really faithful in what they do, and they have a passion for what they do. You don't want to ever get someone who just wants a job and just has a job and they're cool with just having a job just for a paycheck. You want people that are passionate to work for you, to work with you, and people who know exactly what they're looking for.
Thank you. And I pronounce your name. I know I can mess your name up. It's Cherie, right?
It's Cherie.
I always mess it up. It's Cherie.
But it's okay. We're gonna get it right. Through our relationship, we'll get it right. Cherie.
That's right, Cherie. So Cherie, you know, I don't know if you were able to take a look at the video, but here's Dr. Martin Luther King. Today is Dr. Martin Luther King's the day that we celebrate him.
Yes.
And remember, here he is, a man with a vision, right? Mm-hmm. And also a cause that he was prepared to give his life for the freedom of others. It said that he was stabbed over 20 times in the chest. His home was burnt down. He received a number of threats, but yet, because he had us in mind, he had other people in mind. His cause was more important than what he was going through. In other words, he knew the assignment, he knew his calling, and he was walking in it. And I feel like as entrepreneurs, we haven't been through quite as much as Dr. King been through. But we can have some moments, right?
Right.
We can have some moments, and you talked about having the right people, and it's when and Dr. King has. I know one of them was Dr. Andrew Young and some other people that were around him during that time. Some very strong men and women were around him during that time, in order to fulfill the mission. How essential is it? Again, you touched on it, but how essential is it to have the right people around you when you are carrying the vision, you're birthing the vision, you're about to put the vision into motion?
I would say that is dire important. That's so important. The reason I say that is because even with your family, your friends, even the people that are working with you and working for you, it's very important, because you want to have the right energy around you. You want to have those people around you that are praying for you. You want to have those people that are motivating you and pushing you. And I'm not saying that we all need someone to kind of like pat you on your back for every good thing that you do or every good thing that you say, but you want to have those people around you who are consistently looking for you, the brighter part of you, the light at the end of the light. Like, you know what I mean? At the dark tunnel, you want people around you to just be like, it's okay. Like, keep going. It'll get better. You know what I mean? Because you do, like you said, like Dr. King, he came into stumps, he came into speed bumps, but that does not mean to stop. That's not a clue for you to be like, you know what? I can't go any further. Mm-hmm. It's a clue to get out of the weeds. It's a clue to keep pushing forward, because something great will happen. You know, regretfully, you know, like he died in his continuous journey to do better for the people. However, he still lives. You know, his dream still is alive. And although we may not have everything together as a group of people, I think things are a lot better with being partnership and being in the same room with whomever the race may be. So, because I can stand next to the president. That's how I feel. You know, there's no belittling effect anymore. As in, well, I'm of color. This person is, you know, another color, and I can't stand next to them in the room. Like, no, I can have the same credentials as you. I can be smarter than you. You can be smarter than me, but we can also learn from each other. So I think that more so of having the right team around you constantly, consistently is very important. People that are draining or that are kind of like, yeah, draining to your dream. It could be people that is like, I don't think that's going to work constantly, or we'll have like a negative thing to say because things aren't going right in their life. You have to be mindful of what you have around you at all times, no matter what it is, and knowing how to sometimes meditate, sometimes pray to get out of that realm that you may in. Even when even yourself, you are your surroundings as well. So people forget to do inner work within themselves, because at the end of the day, you're the main idea. So if you have a task that you're trying to complete, you have to be able to push yourself. You can't always look for people to kind of push you, because I know within myself, I don't always tell everyone around me what I'm doing or what's going on next with me. So I kind of have like a relationship with God, and I have a relationship with faith, and and I kind of like lean towards it gracefully.
Right.
You know what I mean? I pray for grace and I pray for mercy at all times, because I'm not perfect. But with those things being said, Dr. King had a team around him, but everyone wasn't for him.
Right.
And I think that everybody in the world knows that by now. But
Right.
however, it's just one of those things is you can't always spot check those people, because people are charlatans. You got charlatans in effect. You got people who can kind of mask who they are,
Right.
present themselves as one thing. So just keeping yourself in alignment first, and then I think that everything else around you, you'll start to be able to weave out, and you'll be able to see. So it's definitely so important to have good people in your presence, good energy in your presence, and be around love. Like, be around people that are love, who feel like it, who you feel it from. Like, even if they don't have that much to give, just being their presence. Sometimes I know people that are poor, but their presence is graceful. It's a humbling feeling. So you have to kind of like choose your team.
Right.
Even if they're not being paid to be on your team, you still have to choose your energy that's around you at all costs, because it will eventually cost you.
It affects you. And that's so true. Right. And Cherie, one of the things that I was reading was actually in Exodus 35 and 36, where Moses was assembling the team to help build the tabernacle, right? And in that, they kept saying that they had a willing heart. And honestly, you can feel when someone doesn't have a willing heart. You talked about they bring that negative energy. They always talking negative. You doubting.
No resolution, only problems.
Right. And so one of the things I heard a while ago is hire slowly, fire quickly. And I actually heard that through a Michael Hyatt training, a leadership training. Hire slowly. That means pick the people slowly, and that's how you came up. That's how you came into Elevation Global Media Group. In my life, is because I knew, I needed to, because this next level and what God has shown me was about to happen. I needed to get more of the skilled and more people around me, because I have a great team that I've been working with since we started this in 2020 during COVID.
Right.
It was getting big. I saw this getting really big, because different opportunities was coming, and I wasn't going to wait till the contract was signed or the proposal was approved. I knew that I needed to put the right people in place before the approval. And that's also an act of faith for me. It's almost like I know I'm getting a house. It may not have manifested yet, but I'm going to go buy the doormat, right? I'm going to buy my bathroom.
Getting things in alignment.
Right. And it's a faith move. So that's how it came. You came into my life for Elevation. You are now Elevation Global Media Group recruiter.
Thank you.
And you helped me to stay focused on building in the vision. And you were doing all that. I want to talk about some of the things, because there is a time when you have to, let's be honest, you have to weed out the weeds.
You have to weed out the weeds.
Can you talk to our viewers about some of the things that you put in place to eliminate? So when you brought the people to me, you brought those people. that were the willing and able, skilled workers ready to do the task.
Right. So what I do normally is I usually go through resumes, although, sometimes you can't, people don't do their resumes correctly. Let's start there. But you may see something, a key point in someone's resume, and weaving through the weeds in an elimination, a process of elimination with resumes and things of that nature. Let me say that, I always call the candidate and I always talk to them, because you also want to get a feel of the person. Because in interviews, we all know that some people may say, oh, it doesn't matter what time I can work. Oh, it doesn't matter. I can do anything. I can do this. I can do that. But then when they're put on the forefront of they're set in situations and they have no resolution to the situation, it kind of shows that they're not really who they say they are. I'm just being honest. People embellish their selves, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing putting yourself on a higher step stool in relevance to trying to be better and trying to be a better person. But being able to do the job and being able to present yourself the correct way for businesses, and definitely sell yourself, because it's about that. Not only selling yourself, but being able to prove yourself as well. So I kind of weed out people by their resumes and then by a conversation, because you also want to know what drives people, because some people can't put things in words. Everyone's not a professional resume writer. So that's one thing you got to remember. People, when I first started doing the medical management, I was looking at people's resumes and I was like, this is all during COVID, just to give a prime example. And it would be one of the girls on my team who was saying, oh no, I wouldn't hire her because she wasn't working for a year. You have no idea why. You know what I mean? Because how can you expect for someone to have a chance if you never give them one with certain people? So that's the thing too. You have to be mindful that we are humans, because just because I never worked in human resources doesn't mean I can't do the job. It's like, because you don't know if I'm a fast learner, you don't know certain things. So I would say to always weed out people by having a conversation with them, because not having a conversation is kind of not giving them grace. And I'm a person of giving people grace, because I've been given grace so much. So I like to talk to the person itself. And you're not gonna sell me over. You're not gonna blow smoke. You're not like anything like that. Because when you come from where you come from, you already know what's going on and you already know what's in front of you. So I kind of just I'm able to like always talk to the candidate, and I create scenarios to them that I kind of want answers, and certain answers that I'm looking for, especially with working in different groups. Like, working with elevation, you need to be on the go. You need to be ready. We already know this. You need to be ready you need to be adaptable. You need to be able to say, hey, okay, you need to kind of be a chameleon. Basically, something might pop up tomorrow, we have to go run and do a shoot. We have to go run and do a show right away. You need people that are on point, who are ready, and who's always ready. You know what I mean? Like, not just, oh, okay, I'm at a party. Like, no, just substantially ready, like respectfully ready. Not you calling them at midnight and you saying, whatever, but just understanding, hey, listen, tomorrow we have this going on. I need you to get on top of this. And if not, let's find a resolution. Let's try to weave some things out. Those are your people. Those are your people, not people that just kind of say yes to everything, but people who are beneficial to the point where they know that this is a position that I signed up for. This is what I signed up for. Media is on go. Everybody knows that. Anything can happen in the drop of a dime. If you're ready to record, I'm ready. And that's the thing. In media, people have to be on go. So weeding those people out are easily weeded out by people giving excuses to certain things and reasons. But back to the situation where I was saying about medical management too, and reading resumes, and it would be, like I said, it was a girl on my team who would always be like, no, throw their resume away. And I'm like, why? Why? Why are you throwing their resume away? She could never give me a valid reason. It would be, because there's time left between jobs. So this one lady I called, just to give a prime example, I called this one lady who was a nurse, and she was a nurse practitioner, and come to find out, she was out of work for 2 years because she had became hot. She had her dad in hospice, and she was his caregiver for 2 years. He passed away, and she was ready to come back to work. But because she didn't have it on her resume, which she was not working, you know what I mean? That was personal. So you have to remember that people do have life does happen to everyone.
Right.
So having a conversation is the best to me, the weed out. Like sometimes people think like, oh no, having a conversation with them really quickly is not important. It's not beneficial. I've met people with no experience, literally with no experience at all in certain jobs who do way better and show more commitment than people that are in the business already, have been working it for years. So you kind of have to kind of just be able to listen, be able to communicate, be able to understand, and be able to, like, I cannot express how much listening is really important to understanding people. And I'm not saying to give everybody a chance who hasn't been in work, but I'm saying is you have to give people a chance. You have to show grace because everyone is human. We are all humans, and everybody wants a chance. Everybody wants an opportunity to show who they are. And if they fail you, then okay. Like, I'm not saying to waste money on hiring and firing, but definitely fire quickly, because people know. I definitely agree with that. People know when they're doing something that's out of the guidelines. So at that very moment, you already know. If you're late 3 times, you're gone. That's just it. It's not up for negotiation for me. But certain companies may be like, oh, okay, it's okay. Like, no, because people already know. Now, certain situations does happen, so you can negotiate. But at any given time, people are able to talk about things they need to talk about. People are able to have communication. People are able to delegate tasks. People are able to understand what their role is. So you have to be able to remember that when you hire someone, before you even say yes, guess what? You already explained what your role is. You already explained your expectation. So if they can't fulfill that at any given moment, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And that's the whole process of, even if you get them in the door, but weaving them out from the beginning, it's all about the conversation. I always feel like it's the conversation. It's never about just the just the resume. It's more so about the conversation that sometimes you have with the people, even the unqualified. You know, you have that conversation with them because you never know what a person could possibly bring you. You don't know their networking skill. You don't know who they know. So you might want some people in your group or your profession, in your business, to be a part of your team who's able to network. You know, you have to know what people can bring to the table, because everybody can't bring the skill.
Right.
They have something more powerful. And that's the thing. You have to be able to understand that when it comes to people. And everybody does not have, some people lack certain pieces of knowledge, but they may be an amazing person, and you might can find a space for them that you didn't even know that it existed. So a conversation is always my my go-to for weeding out. Like a conversation always, even if they're unqualified, even if they don't have the degree, I'm going to have the conversation, because some people, you have to start somewhere. And if you are never ever given a chance, if no one ever gave me a chance to do their resume, if no one ever gave me, like, I just posted it. Who's to say I'm a professional resume writer? Like, who said I can recruit? You know, you gave me an opportunity to recruit for your company. Then other companies, oh, hey, oh, you're doing this. Okay. So people, you have to give people chances. You have to give people grace. And that's another thing. And I'm not saying hire the world. Of course not. But I'm saying just be graceful, because someone also gave you an opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what, that go back to me, Cherie, when you talked about, they may not have the skill, but there's a proverbs I like, that a good name is rather to be chosen than riches. That means that person's character, because you also do reference check, you do all that. Their character may speak louder than their skill. Their character, and who they are, and their willingness to do it and to learn. Because one of the things that's a pet peeve for me, Cherie, is I don't want to have, if you say you want to do it, I don't want to have to chase you down or try to hunt you down.
That part.
To do what you said you know how to do and you love to do. No, if you love to do this or you want to do it, then that means that when opportunity comes, or you're checking in, because we're all adults, You know, I
We're always
shouldn't have to put out a search party looking for where where you at or where you been, because that, to me, that is exhausting. Because one thing I know, I always said this: a leader, this is a quote I wrote, a leader never goes MIA without telling the next person next to them or the person in front of them where they're going for a time. Because we have life, right? But they're going to always let the team know, hey, I'm taking off because I have this to deal with the family. A leader, to me, you never have to figure out what a leader is, because they're always going to be in the front and they're going to always tell you what's going on and what's happening. So that's important. So if you were to give our viewers, Cherie, just 3, because you talked about having a conversation, that's one. What are some other things they need to look for for that? I'm not going to say a perfect team member, but a willing. I'm going to go back to that word willing, because that's the whole thing. If their heart is willing, what is 2 other things they should look for that team member to help them to build a dream?
I would say look at their credentials, because you still want to look at that. You still want to look at what they've done. You want to look at also what they are doing at the time. And also, I can't say without the conversation, like literally, because the conversation is how you get to know. And I'm talking about a comfortable conversation where a person can be able to be their self and not feel like they're being interviewed. Like, just have a conversation with them. And see what their motivations are. And you, like, it's a few things though too. And let's not forget challenges. You have to always give people challenges, because how they handle that and how they explain. And I always ask, that's part of my conversation, is asking people, what's a challenge for you? Like what, or give me an example of a challenge you had. And I know when some of the challenges are not true, you know what I mean? But, and sometimes I may give them a scenario, like, hey, what would you do in this scenario? What would you do in this situation? What would be, it's not about right or wrong, but it's about how you handle things. Because how I would handle things in HR is way different than how a manager may handle things, or how a person would handle a rude customer. You know, if a customer throws water on you, like, how would you handle that? Would you fight them, or would you take a step back, de-escalate yourself, de-escalate the situation by doing what you need to do? Like, I'm not saying that disrespect is ever okay, but you have to be able to have people in place that know how to handle challenges, especially when you're constantly dealing with people, because people are unpredictable. So, like I said, credentials, what they're doing versus what they are doing now, like what they did and what they're doing, and also their challenges, because people will let you know every single time. You will know who to work for you, who to work with you when certain problems arise, because some people have a tendency of letting go and leaving if the company has speed bumps, or, you know, the hours have to shorten, because they're on the back end and they're only thinking about, and you gotta also remember not to try to hire people who are only thinking about just their just the pay, or just the what's in front of them. Oh, okay, well, I'm not getting 40 hours anymore. Oh, I can't work. No, that's never the case.
And you know what? I saw when you talked about the pay. I remember when I went down to DC, actually at OCC, it's the Department of Compliance Regulation, which they regulate basically the bankers, the financial institutions. And I go down there and I teach financial literacy. I work with the bankers and other organizations to teach young people about, financial literacy. One of the young ladies said something. She was upset because no one told her that taxes will be taken out of her paycheck. And at that moment, she began to disrespect the leaders of a major organization. She was in high school, because they saw that it was all about the pay for her. She began to disrespect the leaders of a major organization that could have secured her a job out of high school. And remember, some of these companies that you secure jobs with, they can also pay for your schooling, which Elevation Global
Right.
Media Group will be at one day.
You will.
She disrespected them. She was upset. Nobody told me I could have stayed working at McDonald's. So they escorted her out. This is when you people become. Someone asked me, what is it when money becomes the root of evil? When you allow money to become the root of all evil, and you allow money to dictate to you at that moment, and you begin to do things out of character that now affects your well-being, your life, and your position. Because I felt so bad for her because she had a major opportunity. She only saw that moment of working a summer job, through Washington, D.C. summer job
Right.
placement. But she didn't see the future. And this is what people need to see. Cherie, and you talk about
The
this.
thing about that,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, Cassandra, just to piggyback on that real quick, that also starts with communication,
Mm-hmm.
From the higher ground up. When we are hiring kids
Mm-hmm.
for opportunities 16, 17, 18, you got to remember one thing about school, unless they're doing it now, because they didn't do it when I was there. And from what I'm understanding, they still don't. They don't teach you about the things that really is going to help us and assist us in life. They don't teach you about credit. They don't teach you about buying a home. They don't teach you about saving your money. They don't teach you about the effect of after high school, like that adult things start to happen. That adult things happen while you're in school. And I'm not saying that she was wrong. I mean that she was right for what she did, but did she handle the situation incorrectly? Absolutely. But could they have set her down and said, hey, listen, let me talk to you. She's a child still. So, her behavior was incorrect. But if I'm working at McDonald's and I'm not getting any taxes taken out because I know that I am of a certain age, then I would only expect that. You know what I mean? So with kids see, like my little my fiance's his brother, they were taking like $40 out of his check. He was like, I can't believe they're taking. I said, let me see your check. They have to take that out. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not okay, but it's one of those things like, hey, we also need to always communicate things, especially with children. And that sucks that she lost, because she basically lost because of her not being able to, have certain credentials and do certain things now. Like, so now she's lost a major opportunity, like you said. I can't hear you.
Okay, so tell our viewers how to get in contact with you.
Of
What are some
course.
things I hate
Yeah.
to end the show. Of course, we have to end it, but
It's
I
okay.
want everyone to be able to reach out to you if they need help or have questions.
Okay, so I want to first thank you for having me on today. I
You're
do
welcome.
truly appreciate it. I had a great time.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was Lennox saying thank you. This is Lennox, everyone. This is my little pea in the pod. My name is Cherie. My Instagram is the human resource. It's the _human_resource. It's spelled RIE, like my name, SOURCE. You can contact me on my phone number. It's 410-231-3535. I do resumes, increment letters. I do medical management, recruiting for different companies. I also have a TV show that I'm working for, a talk show that you can run your ads on as well. I have a lot of different avenues, so please check me out. Let me know if you have any questions. My email is the human resource, and the resource is spelled once again RISOURCE@gmail.com. So please contact me, look me up, ask questions. If you have questions about interviews, I'm willing to answer them, willing to assist, willing to help you guys. And I appreciate you all for following me in advance and checking me out. So thank you so much, Cassandra, for having me on today. And I had a great time.
Thank you, Cherie. Thank you so much. We want to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in as well. And we want to definitely let everyone know that if there's anything going on in your life, right now that you feel maybe it's you can't, lack of income or job. There is nothing that is too hard for God. And that's why we invite you in. And if you will openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. We invite you into the family of God. And we want to thank you again, because to me, that spiritual foundation is important for anything in life that you need to do. You can get more clarity,
Definitely
you get more
important.
peace. And so we invite you into God's family by you openly declaring. So
Don't forget to tell them to give grace.
give grace. That's right. Give grace.
Give people grace.
Give people grace.
The
I always talk
same
about
grace
the
that
grace
you want.
card, Cherie. Give people the grace card, because you know why? You're going to need it one day.
Because you always need it. I need it daily.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So give people the grace card. I am not walking in gold. I am
That's
definitely a product, and have just chosen not to be a product of my environment. So at all costs, I've been given so much grace. I cannot thank God enough. I cannot thank people enough who's around me, who's giving me grace on my bad days, on my good days. You never know how you may be. You may never know how you may look to people, but always give people grace, because you're going to want that grace. And remember not to pray to God only when you're doing bad. Pray as well when you're on top as well. So
that's right, Cherie. Thank you.
No matter what your path is, stay on it. Don't get misguided. Cassandra is wonderful, guys. So definitely look out for her. Big screen, everything that she does, she has a goal. She's going to meet it. So let's just give each other grace, and let's just keep on working towards the future. Have a great day, everyone.
Yes, and that's a great way to end. And see you guys next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you looking to elevate your brand into a business? Are you ready to use your voice of truth? Elevation Global Media Group is your one-stop shop for all things media. Elevation Global Media Group has you covered. They offer podcast production, graphic design for logos and websites, branding, marketing, and so much more. Head on over to elevationglobalmediagroup.com for more info, or call 443-307-1241. That's 443-307-1241.